if you love what you do, you don't work a day in your life. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
sure by, knowing who you are, like
Mm-hmm.
you are the same way. Like you love
Mm-hmm.
what you do.
Yeah.
And like I get up at 6 in the morning and it's 4 o'clock before I blink my eyes, I feel like. And I'm like, where I remember working at the jewelry store. And although I thought I loved it then, like
Mm-hmm.
just having to time, like clock watch. I'm like, dear
Mm-hmm.
God, it's 10, now it's 12, and it's been like 14 hours. But like
Right.
here, I come in and it's time to go home and you
Mm-hmm.
feel good about it. Not every day is a good day,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
most days you can definitely say, damn, I made a difference.
Well, hello, and welcome again to Their Story, How They Make It Happen. This is our podcast where we talk with leaders, entrepreneurs, people in the community who are doing great things, have done great things, and continue to inspire all of us in this community. And our guest today is a very special guest, a Delmarva native like myself. Her name is Pam Price. She is owner of Remax Realty. Just amazing real estate. I mean, I can go down the list of awards that she's had. She's been named Coastal Style Real Estate Agent of the Year. She's been a top 5 agent nationwide. But also, she's a mom, a wife, and just a great entrepreneur. But she also is a leader with a lot of vision. So, Pam, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.
You are certainly welcome. Well, listen, let's start first of all, because I think, when I talk to people, people will listen to you a little bit more when they know a little bit about your story. So if you'll just tell us, you don't have to run down the whole thing, but just tell us a little bit about Pam Price.
Well, I worked in corporate America, and I was working for the Zale Corporation, selling jewelry for 16 years. And I went to pick up my daughter one day from daycare, and she said, "Mommy, did you make your goal today?" And she was 3 years old.
Wow.
And it was at that point that I knew that I needed to maybe make changes because, corporate America doesn't care about you. They don't care about your kids. And I decided that while I was on maternity leave, that I would take my real estate exam. And I thought if I'm good at sales, I'm going to go where the commissions are the highest.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's kind of where it all started.
Great, great. So you have now been selling real estate for how long?
It will be 19 years on February 1st on my 54th birthday. So I
Awesome.
started on my 35th birthday
Wow.
and got hired by Long and Foster and moved to Remax after about 3 years and have been here ever since.
Okay. Very good. So let's talk a little bit about that because you got into real estate. When you got into real estate, was it the industry you thought it was going to be, or was it harder?
Real estate is super hard because it looks easy because like HGTV makes it look easy, but I promise that's not how it is. I mean, honestly, there were 30 people in my class, I believe, and I believe I'm the only sole survivor.
Mm.
But it takes a lot, and I mean, it might be easy to find a sale or two, but
Right.
the consistency is the hard part. And that's somebody's their house is their biggest investment of their life
Mhm.
for a lot of people. And
Right.
so they're trusting you with such a huge part of their life. And if they don't know you, um even if they do, like they just really do, most people do their research and make sure that you're the best fit. And starting out, that's really hard because there's
Yeah,
so many others to pick from.
that's true. And you say you got started 19 years ago in real estate. Excuse me. And you started, like you said, at Long and Foster, but then there came a point where you said, you know what, I'm going to go out on my own. When did that kind of happen?
That happened in 2014.
Mm-hmm.
I decided that there had been some things that I didn't like about with my previous people I was working with, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to be in charge of that. I'm never going to have to worry whether the doors get locked on me or not. I'm going to be ethical and do the right thing, and I will never have to worry again. So that is why I branched out on my own and wanted to see a Remax in Delmar, and that was my goal. And then in 2020 hit, and I sold 180 houses by myself with one assistant. So when you think about how many calls, hours, and all of that that takes to get that done, um, I decided to merge my company with a much bigger company,
Mm-hmm.
and still Remax, but I just really wanted my focus has always been on sales and helping my community. And when you're bogged down being the owner of the business and having to really do the
Everything.
back end stuff and be the top producer,
Right.
I'm like, something has to give. And so that's when I chose, I own my building where I'm at. So I have my own office, and I have multiple locations in Laurel. And Millsboro, and I have office space in Ocean City also. And so that is what I wanted to do for myself, and be I don't know, if you don't have the back end to worry about and the management part, then I feel like you can do so much more. And
Right.
I couldn't, I had to make that decision. It was hard to give up, but at the same time, I'm still running my own business.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the important part to me.
Right.
This is me. It has, it's not the other agents. I have agents that work for me solely, and 3 assistants now we're up to, and we seem to get it done well.
Yeah, yeah, you certainly do. You know, it's amazing because when I worked in television at WBOC, I remember the first time, we started to see Pam Price commercials on TV. And like you said, that was, back in 2015, I think. But now it's 2024 and you're everywhere. You're in
Yeah.
commercials, you're on billboards. Like you said, you've got numerous awards. And it seems like what you've done has created such an empire in the lower Delaware area, and also in Ocean City in Maryland as well. In fact, on my way home driving today, I saw a couple of houses, Pam Price and Associates, with your sign outside. So, what would you attribute to you having so much success?
I would definitely say that you get back what you give, and I certainly have put in the time. Um, and I will say time is something you never get back.
Yeah.
And when you are definitely um, putting the community first, and your clients first, that you're not going to go wrong. Everyone's going to talk about how well you did, what you did. There's so many things that I do for my clients that are so far beyond and above, that I think about them first. And if I can help them make more money on their house with my money, that's what I do. I don't charge them anything on to do it. It's just that's what I want to do. And I want to be the hero in their story. And really, that is my goal. My inspiration is to always be the best. And I do have a really scary competitive side, and that is why I'm always watching numbers and who's
Mhm.
doing this and who's doing that, and then that just kind of motivates me more.
Well, look, if you know, I'm an athlete or former athlete, and you know, one of the things that we always do is to be the best. We also had to study our opponent, but we also had to be the ones that went above and beyond. We put in hours before and after while everybody else is going home, and it seems like that's what you do for your customers, and that's why your business has continued to grow so well over the years. But you're also inspirational in the community as well. I mean, not only do you do things for your customers, but you do things in the community. You recently went to a local school, talked to students about business, about, you know, credit scores. You also recently during the Hurricane Helene, you know, you organized a drive to help send, you know, items down to North Carolina, which they desperately needed. But there's also, you know, so many things I could run down of things you do in the community. So is that part of your upbringing, or is that just something that, you know, you just said to yourself, you know what, I'm just going to do this to help out?
Well, I think that I mean, we've always been involved, like we went to church and we would do things within the church. And then we were big in the VFW. So we would, volunteer at the local VFW.
Mhm.
And I believe I was raised by great people. And although I gave back even when I couldn't afford it, that says a lot that, it's in my blood. Like I put others before myself, and I'm
Mhm.
so blessed to be able to give on a bigger level now. But like I remember like just the first day I got my license, literally the first day I got my license and was able to drive to school, I went to Votech for nursing. And that I went to Votech that day and my grandmother was dying, and
Mhm.
I went to the horticulture building and bought flowers. And although I went to my nursing classes at Votech, I skipped homeschool to go take flowers to my grandmother. So like when I think back of like, because people ask me all the time, like, you have such a big heart and how did it start? And so when I think back, like I was 16 at that point
Mhm.
and didn't care that I was no longer allowed to drive to school because I skipped homeschool. So but it was what I wanted to do for my
Right,
grandmother. So like
right.
I do feel like that all the people, I remember that we didn't have a lot when I started real estate, my house was in foreclosure. So I'll take you way
Mhm.
back.
Mhm.
So people who, um the worst word you can say to me is you're so lucky, because
Mm.
that is so like nails on a chalkboard to me,
Right, right.
because there's been nothing like luck. I do think that God puts you in um the right place at the right time. And honestly, the very first sale of my career was, um I had to go back to the mall where I worked
Mhm.
because someone had called out sick and I was the manager, and I had to take my sick daughter in there. She had a fever of 104,
Mm.
and my assistant manager didn't show up. So I had to take her to work sick. No one cares. Corporate America doesn't care. So I took her in there and I was so mad. Like I was so livid, like just
Mm.
that this is how it works. And I happened to run into um, my a family friend that I call Uncle Jim. And I will say, I worked in the mall 20 years and I had never seen Uncle Jim in the mall.
Mm.
And that day he stopped and talked to me. And I said, I just got my real estate license. I know you build houses and I know you have a realtor. But if there's anything I can ever help you with, um, let me know. So
Mhm.
he said, I've got something for you. Well, he said that his sister wanted to buy a condo in Harbor Island, in Ocean City, and that was the only building she wanted to be in. Well, I left work after I was relieved. I went to Long and Foster. I sat in the break room. I had literally just got my license. I found there were two units for sale in there, and it was over 800 $5,000. I called him, told him, the sister came up from Florida and ended up buying it. And
Wow.
that was the reason I was able to walk away from that job. And it, like, what are the odds of that? You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like, what
Yeah.
are the odds?
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
I have to believe in the upper powers and know
That's
that, you
right.
know, I feel like that God really wanted me on this path because
Yeah.
it's been so easy, and not like easy like people think, but
Mm-hmm.
to me, if you're working 70, 80 hours a week, is that easy? You know,
No.
that's what I have to do, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm
Yeah.
still doing that today. I probably
Right.
work, 70 hours a week,
Mm-hmm.
and even with 3 assistants. And so I'm trying to manage it, but like I do have such a huge heart for the community,
Right.
and that's where I like to focus. And I actually recently was on vacation and got the Coastal Association of Maryland Realtors Good Neighbor Award for
Wow.
all that I do.
Wow.
And that really said a lot because of how much I do give that no one knows about,
Mm-hmm.
that people are seeing and hearing, and it just feels really good that you're making a difference, and that's what's important to
Right.
me.
Yeah, you mentioned that people see your success, they see the glory, but they don't
Right.
know your whole story,
Yes.
you know,
Yes.
all that you went through to get there, because they just think, oh, she's an overnight success. No,
Yes, no, not at all.
no,
And I mean, I can't explain, like, it's so bad that my daughters didn't want anything to do with real estate. They said, "Mom," and just what you said, they
right,
said they see the glory of it. They see you
right,
have a nice car, they see you
right,
have a nice house, and that you go
right.
on vacation, and they don't see that every single thing is
Mm-hmm.
tied to real estate and tied
Mm-hmm.
to a call or a
Right.
bad day. Because like we can be on vacation, I could get a text that something's fallen through where
Mm-hmm.
it's devastating to all parties,
Mm-hmm.
and you're having to, be that person to give that bad news, and then it kind
Right.
of, deflates your day having a good
Right.
day at an amusement park, or on vacation on the beach or whatever.
Right.
And so the kids have lived that. And so, Taylor has decided the path of teaching
Mm-hmm.
and hates real estate. I've tried to get her license. I said, just go show houses for me. That's all you got to do. Just show houses. You have to do
Uh,
none of it. And she has no parts of it. No. And I
right.
think she might change her mind, but
Mm-hmm.
maybe when she gets older. But then Sydney wanted to be an attorney, and she just graduated last year from tech. And she aced school. She got through 6 months early, and she met her person and doesn't want to move away now to go to school forever for to be
Right.
a lawyer. And so now she's my assistant that does all my listings,
Wow.
and just helps me along my day, which certainly I said, how can you girls let me build an empire like this and no one wants to work it? I was devastated. So I
Uh,
can't explain how happy I am that Sydney is wanting to do this. And I still have hope on my little Taylor. I think that, once she gets a little older and sees
mm-hmm.
that, you're not, like, the best part about real estate is I didn't miss any functions.
Right.
I
Right.
worked, from the sidelines. If I had to leave to go to one of my daughter's functions, that's what I did. And I never
Mm-hmm.
missed field day. I never missed a concert. I just never had to miss any of that being in real estate. And I guess that those are the pros and cons,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
you're tied to it all day, every day, but you can also leave and do what you need to do and work from a beautiful beach somewhere, or
Yeah.
from the sidelines of a soccer match or whatever. So
And that's extremely important. I remember when my parents, they never missed a game of me or my brother or my sister. They were always at the games, and to see them on the sidelines or sitting in the stands is so important. So for you to do that, for your kids is amazing. And a lot of people don't realize that. Listen, you can have your job, but you can also do something on the side to make extra money so that you can get to your kids' games and not be tied down to a corporate
Right.
job so much. But and that's one of the things that I like to teach is say, look, college is not for everybody. Although I went to college, it was great, but it's not for everybody. But maybe you can do real estate, or maybe you can pick up a trade and own your own business like you have done.
Right.
So it's really good. And the other point I wanted to make was the fact that your daughter has followed in your footsteps, and you mentioned before that earlier they were like, I don't want to do real estate. I remember when my dad was always a teacher or a principal, and my brother and I said, man, we'll never do education. My
Right.
brother went on and he became a teacher and a principal, and now I'm working, as part of the school system as director of communications. So you never know where life's going to take you. So
Right.
don't give up on Taylor. She may come.
I know. I have high hopes. I have high hopes. And that's what I said. You don't have to do what I do. And I think
Mhm.
that that's the biggest part is like, I'm so far over the average. Like the average agent sells about 12 houses a year.
Okay.
And I'm at 107 so
Wow.
far this year. And so, I mean, 12 houses will give you a good living. You know what
Hmm.
I mean? It's
Hmm.
just not enough for me because I give so much back.
Hmm.
So I said that, don't look at what I do and how much time it takes to do that. Because if
Right.
you could think about how long it takes to sell 12 houses versus how long 107 in a 10-month span, then it's a lot different. The
Hmm.
calls, the texts, the emails, their meetings, that's so much different.
Exactly. Exactly. Now, before we wrap up, I do want to talk a little bit about, give you a chance to talk a little bit about some of the things that are important to you in the community. Like I mentioned before, there are so many things you've done already, but are there some things that I haven't mentioned that you'd like to share about? Hey, this is something that we're doing to help out in a certain area.
Well, I think my biggest thing is, and it's so easy, like everyone's like, oh my God, how do you do all you do? But honestly, like I look at it like a forest fire. I'm just the little tiny spark, like just the littlest tiny flame that
Hmm.
sets the forest fire. So I feel like people trust me and they are very receptive to helping me and knowing that what I say I'm doing, I'm really doing, and that, these people, someone's going to benefit from, all we do and give.
Right.
And that is what's most important. I can't do it by myself, and that's the
Hmm.
big thing is it's not anything to do with me solely. But I have to say that like my backing, my clients, my friends and family, like they support me no matter what idea. And I always think, God, I'm so sorry I'm making you do this. Like literally, like I just like I get fixated on something and I'm like, I have to do it. I have to do it. And and I don't know where this will go, but this is what my hope is. So my biggest challenge today, and especially today and today's prices, today's interest rates and all of that, is my heart is huge for the elderly.
Hmm.
It's also huge for the veterans and the homeless. And there has to be a better way. And there has to be, right now they're building sheds for the people in North Carolina to live in.
Hmm.
So why is that? That can happen in a crisis, but why can't that happen here?
Right.
Somewhere there has to be room for the homeless. And it's not even so much for the homeless that I see is that I see for the elderly, they have outlived their retirement.
Hmm.
As well as I do, it's a guess. When we're working on our retirement, we have to guess how long we're going to live, right?
Right. Right.
And so those people outlive their funds and then they're like, oh, I'm going to have to sell my house to continue
Mhm.
living. But then where am I going? Because their house is paid for
Right.
and then they're going to be paying a lot more than that per month.
Mhm.
Like they have no payments, but yet they need to cash out their equity. So I just really do. I do not understand the political part of that. We have so much money to send to Ukraine
Yeah,
or
right.
wherever. And we have all these people right here at home that we can help.
Mhm.
And I know that I have to, go to the upper powers to figure this out, but I do feel like that is on my horizon that I want to work out.
That's awesome. So the other thing is being an entrepreneur, what what inspires you every day to get up and go to work to your office? What inspires you?
I think just like knowing that I need to be the best version of myself and
Mhm.
knowing that that person is a person who ta can take care of my family, provides a great life for my family, but also for everyone that I love. Like it's not just like if I feel like if if you know me, if you really know me, you have to love me because
Mhm.
that is what I do. I love hard, I give back, and I always am looking like somebody will tell like a young lady passed away yesterday, and like the first thing I can think of is, oh my god, she has 3 kids, we need to do
Mhm.
Christmas for her. You know what I mean? Like there's just
Mhm.
like it's an instant thing with me, and like
Right.
immediately, just like the when the hurricane came through, it's like I want to go to North Carolina, I want to help.
Mhm.
And it's not for show or to do anything, it's just that that's what I feel in my heart I'm meant to
Right.
do. And I want to be the best realtor I can be too, but I also want to focus on the community and on others and just making the world a better place than I found it.
That is awesome, Pam. That is awesome. And I don't have any other questions. I think that is all, except for let me back up one more thing because as an entrepreneur myself and other people who have done it, one of the things they've said, and I mentioned this at the beginning, was if you knew better, you do better. Now, did you have someone that was like a mentor to you that helped you along the way? Maybe you didn't, but I know a lot of people when they, go from this level to the next level, they need somebody to get them there, or they need somebody to show them how to get there. Like for me, it was I was, started hanging around people who were millionaires. That's how I knew how to go to that level. What about yourself? Did you have a mentor or mentors?
No, I really didn't. I want to say that I went to work. I like I said, our house was in foreclosure when I started real estate. But every single day, and I didn't have business. You don't
Hmm.
have business starting out.
Right, right.
But I literally got up every morning. I got my kids to daycare. I got dressed to go to work, and I walked into that office, and I just made myself available. Because when you're a busy agent, it's just like coming to my office right now. You can come to my office and will send you on a listing appointment like that, just because it's like I need you to show this house for me. And then you'll make something from that too. But it's like there's not enough hours in the day. So if you're here in this office and I
Hmm.
can, send you somewhere to help me out, then you're going to get helped out too. And
Right.
so that's how I got where I am, because I would do the duty phone calls, which are
Hmm.
not as much anymore because, everybody has their cell phones. Like
Right.
20 years ago, it
Right.
was a little
Right.
different. And I would do duty calls, and they were supposed to be 2 hours. Every 2 hours, they would change.
Hmm.
But like most people are not as motivated. And so I would take their calls, and some days I would get 6 or 8 hours a day of calls just sitting in the office answering
Wow.
phones. And so that is, I feel like, really how I got as big as I did, because
Hmm.
I did people's open houses. I did, the phone, I did the duty calls, and there was nothing that I didn't sign up for. So
Hmm.
it's not instant gratification. And that's
Right.
what, like people think, oh my God, Pam does well with commercials. I'm going to do commercials and I'm going to be big too. Well, commercials, and I always tell everybody, they're like, how did your commercials work? I'm like, obviously they work really well, but you can't do it for 6 months and think that that's all you need to invest, because
Right.
in my business it's top of mind.
Hmm.
So in top of mind, I need to make sure that I'm always at the top of someone's mind. Even though I have mostly referral business now, it's
Hmm.
like I still need to be top of mind.
That's right.
So I love that. I mean, it was 2014 when I started. I went to um Rick Stokely from
Yep. Yep.
WBOC. He's my
Yep.
rep, and he said, "Hey, I want you to come to this thing we're having at the, just to do a presentation."
Hmm.
And I was like, "Oh my God, I'm broke. Okay, I'll come." And so I remember coming back, and I told my assistant at the time, I was like, I've got to figure this out, because I do feel like this would take me to the next
Hmm.
level.
Hmm.
And so I I called and talked to my mom. My mom gave me her credit card,
Hmm.
and I was able to put every month on it. And then after about 6 months, I was able to pay it. And, so for
Yeah.
a couple years, I used her credit card, and that is
Hmm.
what got me going.
Right.
But at the end of the day, like, you have got to put in your business. It is not, there is no easy route to get
No.
to, business success. And
No.
it's the hard hours, and it's the hard, like everything I put into it, I don't think of it as what's it going to cost me, but what am I going to get out of it?
Right.
And
Right.
that's how I feel like that's the only way I've been able to get where I am.
Yeah. And I think people will look at the cost of a
Yes.
commercial, but no, it's not the cost of the commercial. You're investing in your
Yes.
business. You're investing in it to grow your business. And that's what you've done. So, Pam, thank you very much for your time. You've been such an inspiration. I know a lot of people are going to watch this and know more about your story and know the big heart that you have and all that you do for the community. And there's no wonder why you are known around this area as the queen of real estate, because of all you do, all the showings you have, and all the houses you're listing, selling 107 houses in 10 months. That's really top of the line. And you said you did how many in 2020?
180
That was during COVID.
during COVID with one assistant. And I will say that in 2021, in the beginning of 2021, my husband and I got COVID, and we almost didn't make it. And that really does open your eyes
Yes.
to what is important. And
Hmm.
I feel like, if anything, um I would like to say it has slowed me down some, but it hasn't. But it does make me think a little different,
Right.
and want to. I mean, I was out 2 months, and
Mm.
the COVID attacked my liver and my
Mm.
heart, and my husband was one day from a ventilator
Wow.
and was in ICU, and my kids were home with COVID by themselves at a
Mm.
very young, pretty young
Hmm.
age.
Hmm.
And so the scary part was, I walked in like the first part of March, and looked at my board, which I have, and it's a whiteboard that I have all my listing or all my settlements on, and I had three.
Mm.
So I was like, oh my God, like I really have to get it together to be able
Hmm.
to, get back on track. But
Right.
those are the things that really do make you think about, maybe who needs help, because
Hmm.
that's where my mind instantly went with, my God, if I only have this, imagine the people who are sick, who don't get sick time and all of that. So it instantly throws me back into, how can I help
Yep.
people who are sick again?
Well, that
So
is who you are, Pam, and we really appreciate all the things you do in the community, and and being out there as an entrepreneur, and also, coming to schools and speaking to our students about, businesses and credit scores and how important those things are. And we just thank you for being a leader in our community and for being on this podcast, which is Their Story, How They Make It Happen. Folks, you just heard how Pam Price has made it happen over the last 19 years in real estate. And we just wish you continued success.
Thank you so much for having me.
You are welcome. Well, folks, that's all for this edition of Their Story, How They Make It Happen. We will do it again next week. Until then, have a great one.